Yeah, welcome to another Backyard Professor Responds videos. I have found another sensationalistic video on our favorite subject, 3I Atlas. Now, here's what I'm noticing about these sensationalists, and we already all know this. I get it. I'm not telling you anything new yet. They will make the claims, and of course, their selective wording is so spectacularly scientific sounding that you can't help but believe it. I mean, this is dangerous. You know, the United States Space Force is getting our jets ready to get up into the sky and protect us from 3I Atlas. Now, the vast majority of folks out there have no idea where 3I Atlas is in the sky. It's tens of millions of miles away from us. It's on the other side of our solar system, but our United States Space Force is going to protect us. This type of stuff is just hilarious. This thing just put out just a couple hours ago already has tens of thousands of views. And people in the comments are just amazing. You know, our society has been so brainwashed into abject, non-critical thinking that we can no longer, it appears to me, that we actually don't have the tools anymore to learn how to critically think. And so anything said is just accepted as truth. And nothing is further from the truth. So as long as these sensationalistic channels put out their tripe, I'm going to at least respond. Now, I'm going to challenge this channel, Hidden Abyss. You put up the scientific evidence because I've got it and I'm going to share it tonight. They're making claims. Oh, and his wording is spectacular. Oh, this will just thrill you to death. It's all baloney, but it's fun to see how they craft their sentences in order to persuade you. And then the graphics. Oh man, the graphics. Obviously, this guy knows what he's talking about. Yeah, he's making stuff up. And I'm going to show you tonight. Once again, I think this is such a wonderful opportunity for us to recognize that just because it's said, just because it has spectacular graphics and background music, and just because he speaks with an authoritative voice, has nothing to do with whether what he is saying is true or false. Very precious little in this 13-minute video has any basis in actuality at all. It's great science fiction. But see, he's presenting it as, oh my gosh, this thing is right here and we're in danger. Let's take a look at this. This is fun stuff to debunk because so many people are just accepting this. It's mind-boggling. It really is mind-boggling.
The greatest mystery in our skies has just gotten a little bit stranger. How its top scientists say that it could be a nuclear-powered alien craft of all things.
There are things in space that are not meant for us to understand. We just learned that the hard way. Comet 3I Atlas, a traveler from a distant star, was supposed to be a scientific wonder, but as it got closer, it revealed its true nature. 4 of our most advanced space telescopes watched in unison as the object shifted to a hostile, blood-red hue, a color that defies astrophysics. This wasn't a discovery. It was an activation.
This wasn't a discovery. This was an activation. A hostile blood red. The way they word this stuff, again, notice this thing is coming in at a legitimate 137,000 miles an hour. That's grease lightning. That's pretty quick. If it ever was to even be anywhere close to us, that would be spooky. But hostile? There's nothing hostile with it. It's a rock in space. Let's keep watching, though, because he does say some things that I am going to take serious exception to because of the way they have deliberately crafted this narrative to deceive us. And that's the key. The key is not be hostile against science. The key is to use science, and we have a lot of science on comets that we can rely on. That's what I'm going to do tonight. It's well crafted, but it's pure baloney. But it is well crafted. Great graphics, all kinds of stuff, you know.
And now the U.S. Space Force is preparing for a scenario that until last week was pure science fiction.
The scenario that he's about to present is what is pure science fiction. Isn't it amazing how they can bait and switch you into thinking, oh my gosh, this is really happening. This is real. No, it's not. But it is fun to analyze, to educate us so that we can learn how to sift through the malarkey. That's important to do. That's a skill that we need to improve. And I aim on helping us do so. All right, let's keep going.
Red alert in the void. In the cold, silent theater of space, we're used to a certain set of rules. Comets glow a ghostly green or blue, asteroids are a dull gray, and stars shine with a predictable fire. But not all things are what they seem. On a day that will likely be remembered in classified circles for decades, those rules were broken. The story starts with 3I Atlas. Discovered just last year, it was officially designated the third interstellar object ever detected, a visitor from another solar system passing through our celestial backyard. For months, it behaved exactly as expected. It was a faint, fuzzy blob traveling at an incredible 100,000 miles per hour, getting brighter as it neared the sun. Astronomers all over the world were crazy about it.
Now, that's true. Astronomers are crazy about this thing because, one, it is traveling fast, but he's way off on the speed. You know, it's 137,000 miles an hour, not 100,000 miles an hour. That's a big difference. You know, it's rather sloppy in that regard, but he is right. The scientists are thrilled to death to have this. This is groovy, baby. Yeah, this is great stuff. Now let's keep going on this science fiction review of this guy.
A rare chance to study a piece of another star's family. Then came the change. It happened without warning. The first sign came from the Spitzer Space Telescope, an observatory that sees the universe in infrared. It detected a sudden massive spike in heat from the comet's core, or nucleus. This was unusual, but not unheard of. Comets can fracture and release trapped gases. But what came next was the real shocker.
A sudden drastic heat spike in the core. That's going to be important because later on, he says the core is only 3 degrees above zero and makes that sensational as well. I've checked into this. It's pure baloney, but I get ahead of the story. Let's keep going. This is fun for me. I love debunking idiocy, and this is the pinnacle of it. But notice how grand he makes this look, man. I mean, this is spectacular graphics. And he's got that voice of authority. What more do you want? How about some real truth? That's all I'd ask. Okay, let's keep listening.
The James Webb Space Telescope, the most powerful observatory ever built, was also watching. Its data came in minutes later, and the scientists couldn't believe their eyes. The coma, the fuzzy atmosphere around the comet, was changing color. The typical cyan and green glow caused by the sun-exciting diatomic carbon gas was vanishing. It was being replaced by a deep, pulsating crimson red. You see, a color like that is a huge red flag. In astronomy, red can mean a lot of things. The presence of complex organic molecules called tholins, or light being stretched out from a fast-moving object. But this wasn't that. The shade was too pure, too uniform. It was less like a natural phenomenon and more like a light switch had been flipped.
Pure poppycock, man. It is entirely natural. It has to do with the chemistry of the comet. Duh. But he's got to make it so that it's an alien ship. So this is not natural. It was a pure stream of light. Who cares what kind of stream of light it was? It's gonna happen because it's a comet. It's that simple, really. I know I keep interrupting him, but this is fun for me. Especially when you can check the facts and show how science fiction this is. But it's meant to be real. Yeah, he wants you to think everything he's saying is true. None of it is, hardly. He's mixing science with science fiction.
To be sure it wasn't a sensor error, observatories were scrambled. The legendary Hubble Space Telescope was redirected, its sharp vision confirming Webb's data. Then even the retired Kepler telescope in its extended mission was used to measure the light curve. The result was the same across 4 of our best instruments. 3I Atlas was now a hostile, blood-red object, and it was shining with its own light, not just reflecting the sun's. The thing nobody tells you is that the light wasn't steady. It was pulsing with a complex repeating rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. A heartbeat that beat once every 84.6 seconds. It was a signal.
He's just making all that stuff up. It's all make-believe, and I'll show you here in a few minutes with the evidence. But wow, it sounds impressive. Oh my. I wish, in a way, this is probably wrong for me to wish this, but in a way, I wish I could produce fluff, pap and pablum with such spectacular graphics like this, but I want the truth. I want to keep it real. And so I'm not gonna science fiction something up for you on purpose just to get clicks. I can't think that way. My loss, but my gain.
The scientific community was officially in a state of controlled panic.
Sorry, another interruption. Controlled panic. 84-second beat. And this is so freaky that the scientists and astronomers are in a controlled panic. Malarkey. I'll say it in 3 words. Malarkey. For those of you who don't get it, I understand. Yeah. Malarkey's 1 word. Yeah, sorry, I gave it away.
This was no longer a comet. A comet is a dirty snowball. This was something else entirely, masquerading as a comet. It had used the sun's energy to power up, to shed its disguise, and to start broadcasting something. The data was immediately flagged and sent up a chain of command that goes far beyond NASA. It landed on the desks of a very specific group of people at Vandenberg Space Force Base. Because when an object from another star system suddenly turns on a giant red pulsating light, it stops being a scientific curiosity. It becomes a matter of national security.
Whoa, dude! National security now? Whoa! That tells you the vast weight and importance of this red hostile thing coming at you. Now we bring in the military and they will protect us. Sorry, I can't help it. All right, I will try to be a little bit more scientific in my analysis and serious, but holy baloney Batman. I've never seen such a stellar performance of lunatic deception in my life. This is the best one I've seen so far. And they made it really cleverly. Really, the graphics are spectacular, right? Yeah, that's enough to fool 3/4 of the people watching this malarkey. That's what's Terrifying. Yeah. Okay.
Not a Comet Icarus protocol. Once the data was confirmed, the game changed completely. This was no longer a job for astronomers with tweed jackets. This was a job for military analysts and code breakers. The United States Space Force, the newest branch of the armed forces, was created for exactly this kind of scenario, a potential threat from beyond Earth. Within hours, a classified task force was formed, codenamed Project Icarus. Their one and only job was to figure out what 3I Atlas was.
Notice it's a classified department, but he knows all about it. Yeah, he knows, but it's class. None of the rest of us do. But he found out. Yeah, baby, this guy has the noodles. This guy's got the info, man. We've got to believe him. That's the impression he's leaving. And by the way, they didn't do what he claims they've done either.
What it wanted and if it was a threat. The first order of business was to analyze the pulse. That rhythmic 84.6-second beat was too perfect to be natural. Natural objects in space tumble and spin, but this was as regular as a clock. Analysts at the National Security Agency, the NSA, were brought in. They are the best code breakers on the planet, but they usually work with emails and phone calls. Now they were trying to find a pattern in the light from a transfigured comet hundreds of millions of miles away. They quickly discovered that the pulse was not just a simple on-off beat. Within each pulse of red light were trillions of smaller, faster fluctuations, a complex stream of information buried inside the main signal. It was like finding a whole library hidden inside a single word. The problem was they had no way to translate it. It was a language written in a form of physics they were only beginning to understand. While the code breakers were at work, the Space Force was busy pointing every sensor they had at the object. This included the Space Surveillance Network, a global system of telescopes and radars designed to track satellites and space debris. They were trying to get a better look at 3I Atlas. They wanted to know its exact size, shape, and composition. The initial readings were just as baffling as the color. The object was about 2 miles long and shaped like a long, thin shard of glass. But the radar returns made no sense. At times, the object seemed to be completely radar absorbent, like a stealth bomber. At other times, it would reflect radar signals with an impossible intensity. The thing nobody tells you is what the heat signature showed. While the outer shell was glowing red, the core of the object remained at a temperature just 3 degrees above absolute zero. That's minus 454 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a scientific impossibility. You can't have something generating that much light and energy on its surface while its core is near the coldest temperature possible in the universe.
And the last entire 2 minutes is all made up. No agency has been analyzing this invented 84-second beat because it's not real. That's astonishing, isn't it? But notice how real he makes it seem. This is all just fart in the wind. The solar wind, even.
It defies the laws of thermodynamics. It was like finding a bonfire that was frozen solid in the middle. This single piece of data was the most terrifying of all. It meant the object was using a form of technology that was completely unknown to us. It wasn't just a more advanced version of our own tech. It was something else entirely.
Where did the technology come in at? There's no technology being used on this comet. It's simply flying through space and interacting with the solar wind of the sun, and that's what's causing it to change its colors. There is no 84-second beat. No agencies are out there exploring this, terrified about the changes, which are extremely unnatural. They're entirely natural. He is attempting to sway you into believing that this is an alien spacecraft and it's dangerous. And I'm not buying any of it because it's all fake news. All of it.
Built on a different understanding of physics. This is why the alert level was raised. This wasn't just an object sending a signal. This was an object that could manipulate energy and matter in ways we couldn't comprehend. The question was no longer just, what is it saying? It was now, what can it do? The Pentagon's longest gaze. With the world's intelligence agencies completely stumped by the signal, Project Icarus shifted its focus from decoding to defense. The mission was no longer about understanding the message, it was about preparing for the messenger. The first and most critical question was its trajectory. Where was 3I Atlas going? Original projections showed it would swing around the sun and then be flung back out into interstellar space, never to return. But this was no longer a predictable chunk of rock and ice. This was an object under intelligent control, and what many people don't realize is that even a small change in its path could have huge consequences. Using the combined power of the world's largest radio telescopes, the Space Force began a constant 24/7 monitoring campaign. They were looking for any sign of a course correction, any tiny puff from a thruster that would indicate the object was steering itself. For weeks, there was nothing. It stayed on its original comet-like path. Some in the Pentagon started to relax. Maybe this was all just a strange natural phenomenon after all. Maybe it was just a light show. But the veterans in the USSF knew better. In warfare, you don't show your hand until you have to. And if this object was a probe or something more, it wouldn't make a move until it was ready. Then it happened. It was a change so small it was almost missed. The object passed through the orbit of Mars, and as it did, it failed to slow down as much as it should have.
Now, you know this is pure BS for one very obvious reason. The object hasn't yet even reached Mars or its orbit yet. It's going to do that in 8 days. And it's saying it's already done it. When you learn the reality, and someone comes along with a snake oil sales pitch and tries to get you to fear and tries to get you to give them money and tries to get you to worry because there's danger, etc. If you're armed with the actual knowledge, you can simply tell them, nope, I don't believe a word you're saying. This is entirely fiction. Now, let me share why I know this. Once again, in the spirit of research, I'm using ChatGPT 5.0 to ask it to search sources for these claims. Now, it claimed it can take every single claim this video made and show whether it's accurate or not. I don't need to go into that kind of a depth. I've just got 3, maybe 4 points I want to make and understand and share with you why this entire video is just not factual at all. Here is what I asked Chat. What can you find for me about something called Project Icarus, just recently started because of the Comet 3I Atlas? I searched around. I couldn't find anything credible in major astronomy or science outlets called Project Icarus. That's clearly connected to 3I Atlas. It's possible the name is informal or speculative or in the very early stages. Here's a rundown of what we know about 3I Atlas, etc., what it is, and it tells us it was discovered July 1st, 2025. And so on and so forth. Some interesting chemistry, high ratios of carbon dioxide relative to water in its emissions. Its nucleus size is uncertain, estimates vary, and it gives you the source, it gives you the sources. All of these are from Wikipedia at the moment. It goes into more scientific sources later. What I didn't find on Project Icarus, there is no credible source, not in NASA, not in the European Space Agency, peer-reviewed literature, or major astronomy news. Of course, this has just recently occurred, and it does acknowledge that, but it can find no information of any agencies sharing information with each other, and that would have been done in paper form, it says. So there's nothing, and yet this guy knows about it. but ChatGPT can't find it. Nothing seems to show a formal program or initiative under that name tied to 3i Atlas. Now, sometimes speculative or popular science pieces may use evocative names like Project Icarus when discussing missions or ideas, proposals for sending a spacecraft to intercept interstellar objects. And we now know that even Elon Musk, there's a video out showing Elon Musk secretly sent a rocket up to meet 3i Atlas and get some data. I have no idea how valid that is. I haven't looked into it. I am sincerely skeptical of it. So the informal speculative name, someone in the media or an individual researcher, it could be misnaming or could be rumors, or it could be just made up. If you want, I can dig through mainstream sources. I didn't go there. I said, they said it was the United States Space Force that started this project because 3i Atlas has turned red, which they say is a warning, a signal that all is not good. That was my response. Here's what it said. I found nothing credible or official that supports the claims that the United States Space Force has initiated something called Project Icarus in response to 3i Atlas. And I haven't found anything verifying that 3i Atlas has turned red in any warning signal sense. Most of what I turned up suggests those ideas stem from misunderstandings, speculation, or internet journal commentary rather than verified sources. It is an interstellar comet. The color, it's been observed to have a reddish tint in some of the visible light observations. This is not unusual. Some comets or cometary bodies have redder colors due to organic rich dust. So more recently, some observation suggests it may be turning more greenish or green-blue as it gets closer to the sun. This is not due to the engine thrusters changing their force of output on a mothership. It is simply due to emissions scattering. That is part of the normal behavior of comets. There's a change in composition, there's outgassing, etc. That comes from live science. They give you the source. And you can click on that link and it'll take you right to the source. There is no threat to Earth whatsoever. It will not come particularly close to Earth, about 1.8 astronomical units. The active scientific interest, NASA, ESA in particular, are observing it using telescopes and spacecraft. That's true. Spectroscopic studies are underway, assessing its volatile contents, its dust gas emissions, etc. And you get that from the NASA Science article online. And there's the link. It gives you the link. So, what isn't established? I found no credible source saying the U.S. Space Force has publicly announced or is running a project called Project Icarus. I found no official statement saying that 3i Atlas turning red is a warning or a signal of danger in any formal sense. So that's all just, see, this is him fear-mongering. It's not actual what the agencies are saying at all. There's no science or agency report confirms that Project Icarus is a real program. Where this idea comes from is misreading color changes of the comets. Comets do change colors. It can go from reddish to greenish, and that is being reported in astronomy sources. But, and this is the key, that's due to outgassing, composition, illumination. It is not a signal that means NSA must be called in to translate the signal to see what this thing is telling us. All of that is pure hokum. It's just not factual. It's pop science speculation. What if scenarios? Sometimes scientists have speculated as part of thought experiments about whether interstellar objects like this thing could be artificial or could be spacecraft, but these are not claims supported by evidence or by any space agencies. It's usually social media forums, Reddit threads, and what they do is they amplify the rumors. Reddit threads have someone claiming if it turns bright red, that means it's gone weapons hot. Wow, how dramatic can you get? It's gone weapons hot. I love that, you know. It's all bluff and bluster. Those are not technical facts. So this is what we're finding. Now, they say, this is me again. And I said, they say it has a perfect regular 84-second beat since turning red. Anything on that beat? It thought for 49 seconds here. It gave it some pretty good thought here. The short answer, I can't find any credible source reflecting a perfect regular 84-second beat from 3i Atlas. And that claim conflicts with what the telescopes have actually measured. There's your key right there. Where did he get the 84-second beat? Who knows? From a science fiction book. Here is what is on record. Multiple independent teams have measured the comet's rotation period in hours. They don't measure it in seconds. 16 to 17 hours from light curve observations. That's the Grand Telescopio Canarias and others, according to ArcExiv. NASA's overview likewise treats it as a normal active comet with no mention of short period pulsations. It poses no threat to Earth. A TESS pre-covery analysis discusses photometry and rotation behavior, but again, nothing about a seconds scale beat. They just don't go that route. Why an 84-second heartbeat doesn't make physical sense for a comet nucleus. It's icy, low-density bodies, comets. They have 300 to 600 kilogram per -3 meters. They can't spin arbitrarily fast. The spin barrier / breakup limit for rubble pile bodies is in the order of hours, not seconds. And that's what's important. Comets that approach a few hour spin can shed material or split. There is literature on rotational breakup of cometary nuclei, again on hour scale periods, an 84-second rotation, an 84-second rotation would tear a kilometer scale nucleus apart. And that's not what's happened. So, and now about turning red and warning signals, color changes. We have reddish dust. And later it gives us a greenish glow from carbon and carbon-2 emissions. These are normal comet behavior. As activity ramps up, they are not signals. That is simply him making this more dramatic in order to try to turn this thing into a spaceship. Recent coverage notes reddening, then greenish emissions as it approaches the sun. There is no official Space Force notice anywhere in any of the agencies. It asked me to point to the exact video post making the 84-second beat. I said, absolutely. It's on a YouTube video called Hidden Abyss. The title is 4 Space Telescopes Just Caught 3i Atlas Turning to a Hostile Color. USSF is on alert. So here's what it said. I searched for evidence of that specific claim from Hidden Abyss, the 84-second beat, the hostile color, the USSF alert, etc. What is credible and what is not is where I'm going to go next. What is credible? In other words, this is well supported in the scientific sources. So these are things that are actually verified by the astronomers in peer review or preprint papers. The color transition, that is realistic. And it has been shifting. It is moving from red to more neutral near solar color. The Atlas network, that is the multiple robotic telescopes, measured the color index around 0.7 red earlier, shifting toward 0.3 later. This change is interpreted as the comet going from dust from a reddened surface to produce a small optically bright icy grains. The cometary activity, it's an active comet. The coma is gas and dust, definitely. Material is being outgassed. We have that from Hubble, from SOAR, from Atlas, from TESS. They have all observed active behavior, that's true. But there's no credible report of a short secular, quote, beat, unquote. The scientific papers have not found a regular periodic signal on the order of tens of seconds. Measurements tend to show rotation period in hours, or else in some cases, light curve variability, but nothing like a perfect 84-second cycle. That is this website just making stuff up. I mean, it's fantastic enough as it is. You don't have to add all kinds of stupid stuff like this to make it more dramatic. It's as dramatic as it's ever going to get. It's fantastic as it is. This website does no justice to it. So there's no credible confirmation of USSF involvement at all. There is no alert. It has not engaged in Project Icarus. It is not responding to 3i Atlas as a threat. None of that is real. It's all just this website making it up. All of the credible scientific work treats Atlas as a comet, possibly an interstellar object, under normal astronomical study. It is not a hostile or a warning signal. The 84-second regular beat is just not verified. The perfect regular beat of a mechanical or signaling pattern is not found. The idea of a hostile color as a signal or a warning in the scientific literature, color changes are interpreted in terms of composition, dust versus ice, solar heating, etc., not as messages or alarms. And the USSF alert, there is no official statements or documents or anyone claiming that has ever been found. So that's basically the main report. Oh, and I said, it says the NSA analyzed that beat and found more within it, and they are analyzing it closely. Is there anything from the NSA on this? Wouldn't that agency share these astonishing things with other agencies, and we would have some kind of a trail, whether electronic, paper, or otherwise? The short answer, no. There is no public NSA confirmation to document saying the NSA analyzed an 84-second beat from the comet. There is no official NSA press release bulletin or credible news reports that support that claim. The publicly available science and agency sites treat 3i Atlas as an active interstellar comet being observed by astronomers, not as a deliberate signal that the NSA or the USSF have formally declared an alert about. That's all just pap and pablum. What he checked is official NASA mission pages and news. There is no alert. He checked major astronomy outlets and reporting, space.com, Science Alert, Live Science, etc. They do report color composition changes and unusual chemistry, but there is no verified 84-second pulse or NSA involvement. So this is the value of chat, in my opinion. It will go to all of the other sources that would take me weeks to find out. It does it in just 29 seconds. This is incredibly useful. The academic preprint astronomy literature and observation data summaries, instrument teams, photometry and spectroscopy papers report rotational light curve behavior on hour time scales, not minutes or seconds even. And composition changes, again, nothing about a perfect 84-second beat. That's just pure baloney. So we would see a paper trail, but it may be classified if there is a national security agency, a national security angle. So maybe it wouldn't be put out publicly. So there is that, but all of the other sources of all of them, none of them can find. The SETI groups don't find any 84-second beat. Nobody finds. What we have is misinformation and sloppy reporting. Because what they do is they conflate instrument noise, normal commentary outbursts, or low SN periodicities with intentional signals. Technical note on an 84-second beat: sources that do photometry of comets report rotational and brightness changes in hours timescales for nucleus spin, or tens of minutes for some very small fragments. A precise, perfect 84-second optical pulse from a cometary nucleus would be extremely surprising physically and would need extraordinary evidence. High cadence photometry from multiple independent instruments with raw data publicly available. None of that was presented in this website. This YouTube channel simply is making the claim. It didn't show us any evidence. It had spectacular graphics, but no evidence. And therefore, I don't believe it. And neither should you. It's fun science fiction. That's all it is. Those observations would be quickly published and debated. There is no such publication right now. So this is so fascinating. Oh, and this was interesting. I said to it, they also say the heat signature in the core remained only 3 degrees above absolute zero, or negative 454 degree Fahrenheit. A scientific impossibility, they say. Is there any others who have shared this data, and is it accurate? It says no. There's no credible published measurements showing 3I Atlas's core is 3 degrees above zero, about 3 Kelvin. That claim appears on social posts and sensational videos, but it's not supported by NASA or ESA, observatory papers, or instrument teams. That's just being made up. Why the 3K core claim is not believable? Because the nucleus equilibrium temperature and exposed comet nucleus at the distance where this comet is observed has an equilibrium temperature measured in tens to a few hundreds of Kelvin, not a few Kelvin. Right now, it's only 3 Kelvin. Simple equilibrium estimates give temperatures of 100 to 200 K at several astronomical units from the sun, many orders of magnitude warmer than 3K. So telescopes, the Hubble, the JWST, the IRTF, the Sphere-X, etc., they measure thermal reflective signals consistent with a normal cometary temperature regime, according to the source from NASA Science. And it does give you the link. You can look that up. All you have to do is click on that link. The core versus coma versus background cosmic temperature. The cosmic microwave background sets a floor of 2.7 Kelvin for empty space. But solid objects, if it's rock or ice, in sunlight will be far warmer. So that means if a claim says the core is a comet is 3 Kelvin, that implies a thermodynamic isolation and cooling to near background, which is physically impossible for a body with observable outgassing and sunlight heating. The comet is actively producing gas and dust, and that requires internal near surface temperatures well above a few Kelvin. In other words, the video doesn't do the math correct. It doesn't know what it's talking about with the core. It tells how temperatures are measured. Telescopes do not put a thermometer in the core. They infer brightness temperature or spectral energy distribution from the infrared sub-mm measurements. That's how it's do it. That's how to do it. A wildly low number like 3K would require extraordinary multiple instrument confirmation and would be published immediately in peer review. No such publications exist. So it's being made up, this idea. So that's very, very interesting. And there's ways we can verify it. And then it gives me another offer that I didn't take it up on because I don't need to. I've seen enough to recognize bullshit when I see it. And this video is it. But it's fun for us to learn how to check the validity of claims being made, and then to compare and cross-reference and be able to say, okay, that part I agree with you. That part you either verify or I don't believe it. The vast majority of this entire video is pure speculation and invention. It's made up. So I don't believe a thing in it. And neither should you. And the hints and the intention of building up a tensity, of building up a fear, a slow boiling fear that this is going to be a bad thing coming on us, and we had better be ready, and we need to get the military involved, etc. And it's all the way over on the other side of the solar system. And it never said that. Because, of course, it's fear-mongering. And we have nothing to fear. I'm not scared at all. I'm thrilled that the scientists are putting all of the telescopes onto this thing so that we can learn more about the interstellar comets coming in. That's spectacular. And they are thrilled with it. So that's the Backyard Professor analysis. The sun has just set, so I'm ready to stop and share this video with you. I hope you've enjoyed this. I will find more as I do. I will share more with you because, again, I want to know what's real, you know? And this is so spectacularly sensational from the scientific viewpoint that adding all of this extra made-up malarkey denigrates those who do it that way. They are an unbelievable source. They are untrustworthy. They're not valuable at all, except maybe for entertainment. But I want reality. So this is the way to do it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all your support and enthusiastic encouragement. Hit the like, subscribe, share this video with everybody you know. I would really like to see some of my response videos get as high as 71,000 views as the videos that are making just pure poppycock up. That would be kind of nice to know. People want what's real instead of the sensational fake, because once these comets come and go, then we have to move on to another subject. And what are those YouTube videos going to do that are not called out for their stupid lies and idiotic science fiction make-believe? They're going to continue giving us false information until we call them out. And that's why I'm calling out this Hidden Abyss video. It's bullshit. Shame on you. I get why you did it. I'm not impressed. You are wrong. I will debate you on the science of it any day you want to debate me publicly on YouTube. Let's get it on. Thanks for watching, you guys. You have a great evening. I'll be back soon.